And so what's happened is we now have this idea that when we hear the words submit and respect, we think of burqas and head coverings. We think of crazy religious laws. We think of women who are supposed to be doormats. We think of men who are tyrants and chauvinists. We think of women's rights movements. And we want to rebel against these passages. Preachers don't want to preach them either. And that's because our idea of submission and respect is completely distorted. It's different than what our culture is telling you that it is. See, when we hear the word submission, I asked the Real Marriage Group on Thursday, what do you think of submission? I asked the men, and they thought tapping out. You ever see one of those UFC fights? One of those mixed martial arts fights? When those guys start fighting and you get them into an arm bar or some other kind of crazy move and the guy's face is turning blue, and eventually he's got to tap out. That's a submission move. And so the winner wins by submission. And we look at marriage that way. When we hear submission, we think, okay, we got to keep on fighting. We got to keep being those Mack trucks that I talked about a couple weeks ago, unfriendly Mack trucks racing towards one another. Somebody's going to have to submit. It's either going to be the husband or the wife, but somebody must tap out. And we look at submission as tapping out. And so women, if you say, okay, I'm going to live a submissive life, you're told you lose. You lose. You're the weaker one. When I believe what the Scriptures teach is that it takes strength. It takes a strong woman to submit, to respect, to follow.